My father demanded 80% of my salary for himself and my siblings, called it family property. So I moved out overnight, took every dollar I earned, and finally let. My name is Scott Jones, I am 35 years old, and for most of my adult life I was not a son, I was an ATM. Everything started the year my mother left for Europe. She said it was for work, for a fresh start, for her sanity. But the moment she boarded that plane, the weight of the entire household landed on my shoulders. My father, Mark Jones, stopped trying almost immediately. He stayed home all day, watched TV, complained about life, and reminded me daily that as the eldest son it was my duty to provide. My younger siblings, Eric and Melissa, followed his example, irresponsible, careless, living like tomorrow was guaranteed because Scott would always pay. Before I continue this story, please drop a comment and let me know where you're watching from. I'd love to know how far this story has traveled. I was working 2 jobs back then, one corporate, one freelance, and almost every dollar I earned went into that house. Rent, utilities, groceries, car repairs, credit card debt my father claimed was family debt, and still it was never enough. If I bought something small for myself, new shoes, a better phone, my father would accuse me of being selfish. If I came home tired, he would remind me that a real man does not complain. I slowly stopped talking, stopped sharing, stopped dreaming out loud, because everything I said was used against me. As my career grew, my income increased, but I told no one. I learned early that honesty in that house was punished. I quietly opened a separate account, redirected my bonuses, saved aggressively, and pretended nothing had changed. I still paid the essentials, just the minimum, enough to keep the lights on, enough to keep them comfortable but not spoiled. I told myself it was temporary, that one day I would leave, get my own apartment, build a life that felt like mine. The day everything exploded was a Tuesday evening. I came home to find my father sitting at the dining table with printed documents in front of him. Bank statements, tax summaries, salary estimates. My stomach dropped. Eric had snooped through my laptop, connected dots, and decided to play hero by exposing me. My father didn't ask if the numbers were real. He didn't ask why I hid it. He looked at me and said, "So this is how much you make, and you've been starving your own family." Then he said something I will never forget. He calmly calculated my income and announced a new arrangement. 80% of my salary would go to the family, 50% directly to him, 30% to be shared by my siblings, and 20% for me. He said it like he was being generous. When I laughed, not because it was funny but because my mind snapped, he slammed his hand on the table and said, "If you walk away from us, don't bother calling yourself my son." That night turned into shouting, accusations, insults from every direction. Melissa cried and called me heartless. Eric said I was greedy and corrupted by success. My father said my mother leaving was my fault, that I drove her away by being difficult, that I owed him my life because he raised me. Something broke inside me. I packed a bag, called a colleague named Daniel, and asked if I could crash at his place. I left that house before midnight, blocked their numbers, and for the first time in years, I slept without fear. 2 weeks later, the messages started coming through new numbers. Pleading, apologizing, panicking. The landlord was evicting them. My father had borrowed money in my name years ago without telling me, stopped paying, and the debt caught up. They needed a lump sum to avoid losing the house. They said they were sorry, that emotions ran high, that family should forgive. I stared at my phone for a long time, remembering every skipped meal, every insult, every sacrifice, and I typed one sentence. I am no longer responsible for choices I didn't make. Then I blocked them again. Here's where the revenge came in. Not loud, not violent, but devastating. When I left, I also reported the fraudulent loans taken in my name. I had proof, signatures, timelines. The investigation moved quietly. My father was forced to face legal consequences, not prison, but heavy fines and mandatory repayment plans. The house was lost anyway. My siblings had to move back in with relatives they once mocked. My father, the man who called me ungrateful, had to get a job at 58, and suddenly work wasn't beneath him anymore. Months passed. I got my apartment, clean, quiet, filled with sunlight. I met someone, her name is Laura, kind, grounded, someone who asked about my dreams instead of my bank balance. One evening, scrolling through social media, I saw a post from Eric. He wrote about betrayal, about how family turns on you, about how money changes people. The irony almost made me choke. He didn't know I could see it. Didn't know I still had access to the group chats where they once joked about draining me dry. The final twist came when my mother reached out. She admitted she left because my father was emotionally abusive, because the house was toxic, because she saw what they were turning me into and couldn't stop it. She said she was proud of me for choosing myself, something she never had the courage to do. That conversation healed something I didn't know was still bleeding. Today, I live peacefully. I send money to no one who feels entitled to it. I help when I choose, not when I'm threatened. My family learned the hard way that using someone until they break has consequences. I didn't destroy them, I simply stopped saving them. And sometimes that is the most powerful revenge of all. Please like, share and subscribe for more stories. Thank you.